What's going on, Jets fans? Back with my third video in a row. I'm on a roll today. I got a lot of things I want to talk about. Really nearing the peak of the off-season hype train, and I'm here for it. I love it. I love everything about it. The NFL off-season to me is like a microcosm of America and the flaws and the materialism that we have, but also why America is dope as hell. Um, I love the NFL offseason. Love the NFL draft. Okay, now I'm not going to do a full mock offseason in this video. That's coming up a little later. But I want to talk about a general mindset heading into the offseason. Like, what is our plan? What are our goals? And it sounds silly, but we have to ask ourselves, what are our goals? You might say every team's goal is to win the Super Bowl. Well, okay. We need some incremental steps, though, right? We have to be a little realistic. We're coming off a 4-win season. And at the end of the season, Robert Saleh mentioned closing the gap in the division with Buffalo. And it's like, okay, Buffalo is the number one bet to win the Super Bowl next year. They don't really have any holes on their roster. They have a top 5 quarterback. They're well coached. So even if we have the perfect offseason, is it realistic that we dethrone the Buffalo Bills as AFC East champions? It's hard for me to imagine the offseason it would take for us to do that. Now, when the schedule comes out and I release my video making the picks for all the games, I'm probably going to have us, going 12-5 or whatever and split in a tiebreaker to win the division with the Bills. I'm going to do that because I can't help myself. I cannot be objective about this team. So I'm going to do that. But that's me. But if we think more objectively, that's still a little unlikely. There's probably a year in between this past season and competing, right? We see that in sports. You go from a last place team, then maybe you fight for a wild card spot, and then maybe you're a playoff contender. Although in football, you can turn it around and quicker than any other sport in the NFL. NBA franchises, it takes forever, MLB too. But football, you can whip it around pretty quick. You can be the Bengals. So, what are we going to do? What's our goal? Okay, I think goal number one, and hear me out. We talk about playoffs, we talk about Super Bowl. How about this? What about being relevant? What about being exciting? What about being put on national TV and have it being worth people turning it on? What about being able to justify the cost of your season tickets to your fans? Because Jets fans are so underrated. They really are. I know there's a lot of other underdog sports fans that are kind of the darling of the NFLs, right? The Buffalo Bills, the Cleveland Browns. But Jets have really great fans and such knowledgeable fans. That's why breaking into this YouTube thing, I was clicking around some different channels and even guys just starting out, like me, guys with hardly any subs. I'm like, man, these guys know the team. They know the league and they care about it. So those could be some goals besides winning, right? Getting some pride back in our organization. Having a professionally functioning offense. How do we become relevant? How do we become worthy of a national TV spot? How do we become worthy of our season ticket price? And I think it has to start with quarterback and with the offense around the quarterback. Like if the New York Jets next year say they go all in on offense, right? And there's still a lot of growing pains on the defense. Defense is pretty bad, so we don't win a bunch of games, but say we win 8-9 games where we're in playoff contention. We get to be one of the teams on the TV screen on week 15 that says, in the hunt, we're in the hunt. Here's what could happen. Here's we need to win. Here's who we need to lose so we can be in. Here's the mathematical percentage of us making the playoffs, 18%. We can do it. Come on, that's a step up. I'm here for that. So that's my mindset. I don't have the mindset that if the Jets don't make the playoffs next year, it's a failure. But I do have the mindset if we do the same thing we've always done, which is either throw great money at average players or take some safety or linebacker or defensive tackle really high in the draft, leave a hole on the offensive line, be a couple playmakers short, ignore tight end, and we improve and we win 8 games. No, that's not good enough. So I don't think the win total is the only metric to judge for next year. I don't think that should be the only goal. And speaking of the defense, we're not gonna finish 32nd overall in defense next year, even if we just make some minor improvements, because one, there's just always some fluidity in how that stuff works out. Like if you look at on a year-to-year basis, who's at the top, who's at the bottom, like you rarely stay at the bottom or the top for that long, just because the turnover in the NFL in general is so high. So if we make some minor improvements, right? Say we spend our second round picks on a safety and a linebacker, we bring in a veteran corner, um, and we go edge at 4, and that's all we do, and everything else goes on offense. And Carl Lawson comes back. Oh, but he had an Achilles injury. Okay, but no Carl Lawson last year. So post Achilles Carl Lawson is better than no Carl Lawson. We had the most rookies start on defense last year. The rookies will be better. We had a rookie head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach. They're going to be better coached. We're not going to get hit with the crazy unlucky injury and COVID bugs that we did last year. So let's say we make those minor improvements and the defense is still not good, but goes from like 32, I don't know, to 24. But the offense is lightened up and we're pushing for a wild card spot, and we know we got Zach Wilson and we feel good about it, and we know we got the offense. And then the following offseason, 2023, we're like, okay, let's really make these upgrades to defense to balance our team. That's what I'm talking about. But the inverse, if we go really heavily defensively and our defense jumps up to 14, and we have a hole at right guard, and then we're not deep enough at receiver, so we have injuries, and we don't address tight end enough, and then we end the season and we win 7, the same win total, say we win 8 games, and we're like, is Zach Wilson the guy? I'm still not sure. And then we're kind of in the same position next offseason, where we're talking about let's do more to support our young quarterback. Because, I mean, with Sam Darnold, I mean, it's tough to compare because Gase was so historically incompetent. And Saleh is not that. Saleh is better than Gase. And Joe Douglas, I think, is a good GM. So we're already going to be better than that almost no matter what we do. But with Sam Darnold, I watched every snap, regular season and preseason, of that kid as a New York Jet. And Carolina Panthers fan asked me, hey, is he any good? And I said, dude, I don't know. I don't know if Sam Darnold can play because of the dysfunction and the lack of weapons and the lack of a legitimate offensive coordinator and the lack of a plan and the lack of a professionally run organization and the lack to support him, the lack of an offensive line. Like, I didn't know if he could play. And I don't want to do that with Zach Wilson. So that's where I'm at. That's my mindset this offseason, is to go heavy in free agency on offense, use that 10th pick on a receiver, make sure you got proven pros on offense, and then, spend your second and third round picks on some safeties and some linebackers, a corner, go edge rusher at 4. Hopefully your young guys improve, get them coached up, and let's be fun to watch. Where are you at this offseason? What are your goals? Tell me what you think in the comments below. And thanks for being patient with my rambling. And as always, go Jets.